Hi. I believe the band will kind of tone down a little bit here in a second, but Rob Browne in Memphis, golly. Ronnie Sanders in Hoover, Coach Larry Fedora down in Waco, Texas. It is the Wednesday afternoon version. Auburn Undercover. Brendan Martin, executive producer, on his way to Universal
say
Studios.
hi and wish my daughter happy birthday. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah. Happy birthday,
Stella. Stella, happy birthday. All right. You guys have a good show. I'm always watching.
All right, thanks. I tell you what, I mean, Larry, I kid you not, as a producer, he's amazing. Ronnie, y'all work together, and I'm ready to talk anytime we can talk to a head college football coach. It's get your notepad out and take a lot of notes. But welcome aboard, Coach. Glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, Ronnie and I worked at a couple places together.
We did, Florida and Southern Miss.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. So you were there with Coach Zook. Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah, 02, 3, and 4. Boy, that seems like it was about a year ago, but it was 21 years ago. When good God, time does fly. That is insane.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. We had some really good coaches on that staff, and we had some really not good coaches on that staff.
I'm gonna defer to you on that. But yeah, that's probably just about every staff in the country.
No doubt.
Well, Coach, I want to ask you just right now, you're not coaching, but you're young. You could always get back in if you wanted to. But what right now is the biggest obstacle? Because there's a lot of them. And I get so many texts from friends and people that watch the show. They say, thank you all for talking X's and O's and depth charts instead of trying to make this, CNBC light or Fox Business light because of NIL and all that stuff. I mean, you still have to develop players. Do you do any consulting or working with up and coming coaches? And are there many Larry Fedoras out there that are 32 with 3 or 4 kids that are hungry?
Oh, I talk to coaches all the time, and there are plenty of young coaches out there that are hungry and that are in it for the right reasons. Okay. And they want to do it the right way. I mean, it's just, there are a lot of roadblocks now in college football.
Yeah. And Ronnie, you see it, as well. We got to have those. It takes a whole bunch of them. It's like in tennis. It takes a whole bunch to produce a Pete Sampras or a McEnroe or whatever like that. What's keeping people out of coaching nowadays? Because, Larry, we watched his long career, did a lot, known for offense and all. But if you go to coaching conventions and all, I can't imagine what the conversations are like now.
Well, I would say this: you got a lot of coaches. You got a lot of young coaches. There's still a lot of young coaches in the game. There's a lot of them that want to be in the game. Look at it. It's they're paying a lot of money nowadays to be a college football coach, and so there's a lot of young guys that think that's going to be an easy thing to do is go coach some football until they get in it and realize how much time and effort it takes and what kind of strain it puts on your family and all of those things. So you better be passionate about it. I tell young guys all the time, you better not be able to live without football. Because if you can live without football, go do something else. That'll be better for you. But if you can't, then jump right in with both feet and get after it.
Yeah, Ronnie,
it's kind of like Zucker used to say. There's 2 kinds of coaches' wives: great ones and X ones. They don't.
No doubt. And you better have a dang good wife if you're going to be in this profession.
That's right.
Yeah. And you talked about the 20-hour rule. I don't know what you can be successful at with only 20 hours a week.
Will they still have that rule?
That's what I wonder. Was it ever followed?
I'll say there's there were programs that tried to do it within the 20 hours and you're going to always have people that are going to stretch it here and there, but I don't even know if they still have that anymore. I don't even, at this point in time, I don't know. Everybody talks about the NIL. Everybody talks about transfer portal. Nobody really talks about education anymore. you never hear anything about graduation rates or any of those things anymore. I mean, and I can't imagine what that's like if you're transferring 4 times in 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if you've got a kid that transfers 3-4 times, I mean, what are his chances of graduating?
Very low, because most of those things aren't transferring from, to each school. They're not going to be, I don't even know how they qualify anymore or if they have to.
Well, you think about Cole Kubelik always talks about the stolen reps with offensive line. Offensive lineman comes into your school in January, goes through spring practice. Let's say he gets all the reps with the ones. He leaves for something else in the portal, so the guy behind him didn't get as many reps. Or guys miss spring practice. Caden Proctor, a lot of people saying he could be one of the top 5 picks in the draft, but he's been able to get out of spring practice 2 years in a row at Alabama. One when he went home to Iowa, and this past year I think he was injured. Coach, and both of y'all, how big a problem? Because offensive line play, we could reel off names of a lot of really good offensive linemen. It's hard for people to name offensive linemen anymore. There's so much coming and going.
Well, I think that's probably just about any position anymore. I mean, with so much turnover in your programs, it's hard for fans to keep up with who's where. I mean, you can on any given Saturday, you can turn TV on, watch 2 teams playing, and it's going to be Florida against whoever, and the quarterback made a good throw. Well, he transferred in from Wisconsin, and this one for this team transferred in from Boise or whatever. I mean, it's impossible for fans to really get to know these players that they're supporting, on a first name basis. Really tough for them to do.
Yeah, Ronnie, you hearing that, all the coming and going offensive line, in this case Auburn, 82 combined starts. The other 9 position groups on Auburn's team going into this year have 88. You expect to see like a gigantic leap forward with the offensive line for Auburn? Because if it's better, it's certainly going to be good for Jackson Arnold or Deuce Knight. I think it's going to be Jackson Arnold.
I would think it would have to be better than it's been the last several years. I mean, they've recruited well. And, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Auburn's got a lot of young guys who played a lot of snaps.
Yeah.
But they're still babies. So, it's going to be, it should be a fun year.
That's usually a pretty good sign, though. If your offensive line's your most experienced group, that's usually good. And if they're young and they're still the most experienced group, that's only saying good things about the near future.
Yeah, yeah, and you're sitting there looking now, Coach. You follow college football nationally. What teams do you follow really the most? The ones you've coached
probably
for,
the most are anywhere that I've got
Exactly.
assistants that worked for me that are out still coaching. So I'll follow their teams probably a little bit closer than I do just anybody else.
Yeah,
and really I just want to see good football games.
Yeah. Like we had David Bartu on the show Monday, College Football Matrix out in Portland, and he said, I think you're gonna when the NFL starts whining and complaining about the players, the product that they're getting are not being developed and they're not prepared, whatever. He said, that's when you'll start to see some change. Is there any effort that you know of, or Ronnie that you know of as well, to get the NFL to work with the colleges saying, hey, let's find ways to encourage these guys to stay put? Guys have always transferred. We know that. But it seems like, coming into the NFL, if you've been at 3 or 4 schools in 4 years, that could be a problem to me if I'm a coach going, do you stick it out? Do you grind it out? Do you have that personality that it takes to win?
What you asking me or Larry?
Coach, either one of y'all.
Yeah, I'll just tell you, I mean, you never know. I would say the NFL is they're probably doing pretty good. I mean, they're those 32 owners have put together something over a certain amount of time that is making them a lot of money, and they're doing very well with it, And so I think that college football is going to have to adopt a lot of the things that the NFL is doing, with NIL and salary caps and all of those things. If we're going to continue to grow and be better as a sport, now development. I mean, that's always going to be an issue. I mean, that's always going to be an issue. But I do think because of NIL, I think you got a chance for more players to stay in college because, frankly, they're making more money in college than most of them are going to ever make at the NFL. Because the majority of them aren't going to even make it in the NFL. They're going to, they'll be there for a cup of coffee, and so they're not going to make a lot of money. They got a chance to make some life-changing money staying in college athletics.
Yeah. Yeah, and you just wonder. I mean, I remember Gene Chizik was saying before NIL officially became, it was like May of 21. It was on Paul Feinbaum's show, and he said, in the NFL, in the locker room, it's just it's normal. Some guys make more money than others. Some guys make more money than the head coach. How's that going to translate into college? Just what are your thoughts on that? I mean, because to me, I think the linebacker, was it Tommy Weeks for LSU, was at Media Days last week. Somebody asked him that question, and he goes, man, we don't talk about finances. we're in meetings with our coaches, our position group. We're watching a lot of tape. He goes, not around my guys. Nobody's talking about that. He said it's looked down upon. I like hearing that.
Well, I think that's great if that's what's happening out there. There was an article that came out today. A guy, one of the coaches that Ronnie and I worked with, Mike Loxley, and he was talking about how he lost the locker room in last year in 2024, and it was all based on NIL money. It's guys talking and, hey, you're getting this and I'm getting that, and why aren't I getting that? And then you got, as a coach, you got to decide where that money, where's that money being split up? Is it coming in to the new guys coming into the program?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be in retaining the players that you have? I mean, and so there's gonna, I'd love to say that they're mature enough to handle that and they would all be happy with everything that everybody gets, but you and I both know that's not the way it really is.
No. Ronnie.
Larry, talk a little bit about, we've had Oklahoma and Texas in the conference for a year now. How do you think they fit, and where do you see the conference this year?
Yeah, I would say, we can all sit here and argue that the SEC is the best conference in the country, or the Big Ten's all of that is really good for college football. If people are talking about it and arguing about it, that's good. Now, and I would say the addition of Texas and OU is good for the league. I mean, it's good. I mean, you got what Forbes came out with their most valuable teams. They put a valuation on each and every team, and Texas was by far number one. I mean, because they're the only team that generates over $200 million in revenue. I mean, nobody was even close to that compared to them. So, I mean, they got a lot of money to throw around over there at UT. And so, bringing them in Oklahoma and Oklahoma with their history, I think it's a great thing for the conference. I don't think there's anything in doubt, any doubt about that.
Yeah. Coach, bringing in Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl, I think that's just a huge deal. We've had him on the show a number of times. We have mutual friends in Mobile. That's how I met him. And I would ask him if he thought about getting into coaching, but God, he knows how to identify players. He knows what is expected. He had an 18-year run in the NFL with the Seahawks, the Packers, the Patriots. They're looking at a matrix like, okay, if we can get this 3-star and we think he can be a high 4 or higher, and we can pay this, it's kind of like Moneyball, isn't it? That's the strategy you got to take, because if you're trying to compete dollar for dollar with Texas and Texas A&M with the money they have, you're never going to beat that, are you? I don't think.
No, I think those guys are invaluable. I mean, and that's why you've got Brent Venables bringing him, Nagy. You've got Coach Belichick bringing in Lombardi. I mean, you got guys that are bringing in these guys with NFL experience to be their GMs. And, that's probably, I would say, the most important hire you're going to make now in college football is that GM spot.
Yeah. Is Oklahoma this year, Brent Venables, much more hands-on with the defense? They've got some defensive linemen. We get the chance to talk with John Mateer, coming from Washington State, which supplies everybody with great quarterbacks. What is it about Pullman people I don't like? I've never been there. I know it's in a remote part of the state, but as a guy that likes to hunt and fish a lot, I probably would like Pullman. Have you ever been there?
I have not. Leach Leach loved it.
Yeah.
You know, if you used to listen to his stories talking about it, but yeah, I don't know. There's been a lot of quarterbacks that have come through there. Going back to OU, I think Brent will be heavily involved in the defense this year. I think this is a critical year for them. There's no doubt about it. And it's all going to, I don't care what team you are in the country. It's going to be based on what your quarterback play is going to be, and if your quarterback's not very good and you're still winning, you must have a tremendous support around that guy. You got to have a great team. Defensively, probably number one. And then after that, you better be really good running the football.
Yeah. Yeah.
From an Auburn standpoint, Auburn fans are frustrated with the rebuild after Harsin and now Freeze for 2 years. You've been a part of a couple of rebuilds. How difficult is it to walk into a situation where the cupboard's bare, and you've got to completely restock? And now if you're at Auburn, Rob, this is the worst run in 60, 70 years?
Yeah, since 46 to 50 after World War II. It hit a bottom in 1950. Auburn went 0-10, and my dad was in school there. Auburn lost to Wofford, the Terriers. It was a sad day, man.
Yeah, I would say you have a better chance now with the transfer portal of turning a program around quicker than you did before that was available. Before that was available, you were looking at a 3 to 4 year rebuild is what that was going to take, and you were hoping you were just making progress as you went along. Now, it's been proven you can do it in a year. You can turn a program in a year if you get the right people, to transfer in, and to do that, you got to pay them enough money. That's all there is. So the people with the money got a chance to turn a program as quick as anybody. And, so it's easier now than I think it was in the past.
How easy is it to hold it, though? You look at Florida State and they go undefeated 1 year, and then, if your culture is that way.
Yeah, that's the double-edged sword. You live and die by it, so each year, they went out and did the same thing the very next year, and they just didn't hit on those same guys. The guys didn't have the same, what was going on in the locker room was different. This, and even before you had the transfer portal, every team that you had every year was going to be different because of the personalities in the locker room and, your leadership and all those things. Well, now that change, that's even more up in the air, and how you manage a locker room now is extremely difficult for a college football coach.
Yeah. Well, and you think about, like in the case of Hugh Freeze, how hard is it as a head coach to call the plays and be the head coach, because you have to manage everybody. I'd like to get inside your head on that one, because you got to, you did it, and you did it at a high level, and you were successful.
Well, I would say that, whatever side of the ball on, for me, it was always offense and Hugh's offense also. Yeah. He's probably involved in every single game planning meeting there is. So his time consumption during the week is all ball. He's doing that on top of the recruiting and on top of everything else. But when you're game planning, I'm sure he's involved in every single bit of that. Now, whether he chooses to call the game on Saturday or not himself, because most of that's been done through the week. You've already, you put a plan together, what's going to be called. Now it's just the order of when it gets called. And he probably feels very confident in doing that. And, then it depends on, how confident you are in your defensive coordinator and your special teams coordinator, and can they handle things without you being on top of them the whole time during the game?
Yeah.
Larry, talk a little bit about, when I assume you still did it. I know we used to script plays. I know fans get pissed off when somebody opens your 3rd and 1 and, you throw a streak. What's the purpose behind explaining it to the audience?
Okay. So scripting, for us, it was like, okay, most of the scripting was done, in your first 15 to 20 plays of a game. And then what you're doing in that situation is you have a plan against what you think they're going to do to try to defend you. All right. So you're going to attack them in certain ways. You're going to, give them different scenarios with multiple formations, motions, all of these things to try to identify what they're going to try to do to stop you. And so you've got those, you have those where you have scripted them out, so you make sure you hit all those things. Now, those are all, and they were all 1st and 10 calls for us. So if we got, if all of a sudden you got into a 3rd and short, we jump off the script and go to your 3rd and short calls. We weren't going to stay with one of those calls. And and then in a game, if the defense was defending you the way you were preparing, hey, the script, everything works pretty good, and you may even come back in the second half and just jump right back on that script and go again. I've done that in a game before where you're having success. But then there's times where, hey, they do something totally different defensively against you that you didn't prepare your team for. So now you have to make those adjustments on the sideline with your players, your coaches, and you make as quickly as you can and figure out how you're going to attack them.
And you see scripted plays. I remember, Tennessee was at Auburn October 13th, I think it was, 2018. Auburn, first 16 plays scripted. All of a sudden, Auburn's doing well. Then it flips. Tennessee's on top. Jeremy Pruitt was asked at halftime, what happened? He goes, well, we adjusted. They didn't. Talk about real time. I was talking to my friend Max Howell. We had him on the show last week, and he's been around a while. He said, I don't think anybody, unless they've coached, and both of y'all have, understand how damn hard it is to call plays in real time with a stadium full, people watching on TV. Kind of tell us how hard it really is.
Well, I mean, it's what you do. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm not going to sit there and say that it was hard for someone that's not, for an average fan or someone.
That's what I'm really thinking of.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely hard for them to try to do it. I mean, especially if you're running an up tempo offense where you're making calls, pretty quick, and so you're trying to, all you're doing in your head basically is you're staying ahead, and so what I mean is like you're going to make a call, and if that play is designed to get you 4 or 5 yards in your mind before that play's ever finished, you're already thinking along to, okay, 2nd and medium. What's my 2nd medium call? And you already have that in your mind going forward. Now, if you threw a pass and it was incomplete, now you're immediately going to your 2nd long call. So it's just a game of going back and forth in your head as quickly as you can. When you have a 40-second clock, and you're in a huddle, it's much easier to do, much easier. But if you're doing it quickly and you're trying to keep a defense off balance with tempo and changing the tempo in the game, it's extremely difficult.
Yeah.
How did you manage play calling from an input standpoint? So you got the running backs coach, you got the receivers coach. Well, you're coaching receivers, but you got these guys, all the other guys on staff. How do you manage the guys during the game?
Yeah, nobody talked during the series. Nobody.
Really?
I mean, that's just the way we did it, and so you did all your. They had all their input in between series. Now if a play went out of bounds and there was not, you didn't have a problem, somebody might, hey coach, you want to hit them deep here? I mean, it may be something like that. But most of the time we kept it pretty silent on the phones during a series, especially when we're moving, and then in between series, the very first thing we did when we punted would be to go, okay, the 5 offensive guys, we would be talking, okay, what everybody see? What do you think we need to do? Boom, everybody would say it real quick, and then they would immediately go to their players as the players came off the sideline, and then they sit down with the players, and they start, okay, what did you see? What'd you see? We talk about it a little bit more and then say, okay, here's how we want to attack them on the next series. We're going to go this, and this. First 3 calls is what we'd usually give them. And so then they would get the players ready by saying, okay, we're going to open up with this, then we're probably going here, and then we're probably going here. So your players just had it in their mind that this might be what's going to be called.
When you look around at the offenses that the SEC schools are running, we've had the hurry up, no huddle, but they all come. Is it? I mean, you're a coach, both of y'all. You have about a 3-year shelf life on an offense, if it's even that long, with AI and all the ways that they can study predictive behavior and play calling. A coach I mean, 80 to 100 hours a week, that's not unusual, is it? For the head
No,
coach. That's
that's
not,
just
I
the way
just
of
don't
life.
think it is. Yeah.
No, that's a way of life. That's for
Yeah.
every coach. That's
Yeah.
every position coach, every GA, every analyst. That's just the way it is in football.
And I think I came in on the low end because my son that works in private equity, investment banking and stuff, his friends go, Mr. Browne, Wilson was texting me at 2:30 the other morning. He was studying data charts. But he's 26. And I said, well, I've always told him you better outwork that body. I mean, that's all you can do. So do you see when you watch games, are you doing any TV stuff with Big 12, ACC, SEC?
Only TV I'm doing is sitting on the couch enjoying that my stomach feels pretty good about this Saturday because I'm not worried about us winning or losing or what we got to call on 3rd and 14. So yeah, I'm just enjoying good football games.
I'm just telling you, Ronnie, you would be great doing that on TV. Because I asked this to John Brady, who's on our show Monday through Friday, our sideline show at 8 a.m. Central. And I said, they need you in SEC Network. That, you don't have coaches, you have players, but the insight that you're giving us, I'm going to flip it now. Attacking a defense. A coach can be known as like Steve Spurrier. He's all offense. Well, then there's, he's not. I think he knows how to attack a defense pretty well. Bill Oliver used to stand in the backfield on offense to study the eyes of the defensive players. Who are some of the role models that you had coming up through the ranks that you've learned from and still do?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Every coach that I ever coached with or coached against and studied, they all had a impact on my philosophy, and so, I mean, over time, you're constantly putting your philosophy together and adjusting your philosophy as you go, and for me, it was always, not to beat your head against the wall.
Yeah.
I felt like offensively you needed to be good at running the football, and I thought you needed to be good at passing the ball, and you needed to be able to take advantage of either one that a defense was going to get you. And if they said, hey, you know what, this week we're going to stop the run, we're going to have 8 guys up there, and we're going to stop the dang run. Okay. Yeah. It wasn't going to be – I wasn't going to try to, say, okay, no, we're going to run the football against you. I was like, okay, we'll throw it. I don't have any problem with that. And if they said, you know what, we're going to drop everybody and we're going to stop the pass, great. My ego was like, okay, we didn't care how it happened as long as we scored points and made it go. We didn't care whether it was run or pass.
Yeah. It's interesting. I guess I didn't realize that's the way you call plays. I was always on the sideline having Zook yelling at me. But, when Terry was calling plays at Auburn, I mean, you had Tommy you had Tommy, giving him an option. You had Jimbo giving him an option. You had Trickett. You can imagine.
Yeah.
And Terry had to, Terry picked the play that, they gave him some options and he picked the one he wanted.
Yeah. I mean, that happens. And then, I mean, I've been on staffs like that, where I was an assistant where the coach, he would want input on every call so that, he could decide what to do. But that was back when you were huddling, and also, at that time, then it would be 3rd and 14, and what do you want? What do you guys think? And then it was like crickets, nobody's saying anything, Now he's like, So it just for my mind, it was much easier if nobody was really talking, and so that I could figure out what I was doing. The only guy I had talking was usually a GA in the box telling me down and distance. I just wanted to know as soon as that whistle happened whether it was 2nd and 8 or 2nd and 6, because that affected what I was going to call on that next play, and I needed it as quickly as possible. That was the guy that was getting yelled at the most of the time, because he's like, it's 2nd and 8. It looks like it's now it's 2nd and 6, coach. I'm sorry. They moved the ball. Now I'm yelling at him. So that guy caught it the most. But I mean, I can tell you this: we brought in some special ops guys to work with our guys in the spring one time, and they did a tremendous job. This was 2015 when at North Carolina, and we ended up playing for the ACC championship that year. Yeah. But the only thing they asked me if they could do is if they could listen on the headsets during one game, and so they did that. And then that we go in on that Sunday, and I said, so what did you think? And he goes, well, let me show you something. And he puts on a real battle in Iraq. I mean, it was their comms of them talking during a battle. And I mean, you're hearing machine guns and bombs going off and people screaming. And I mean, this is war, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the guys are very calm, collected, talking just in a very normal tone. Yeah. And then he puts on the coaches talking. And I mean, coaches are screaming and cussing and hollering. He's like, I don't even know how you guys can communicate anything, you know?
Yeah.
And it was pretty chaotic, but I think that's the way it is in most college football sidelines, or everyone I've been on.
No doubt about that. That's what I was, for the fans out there listening, talk a little bit about, if people see coaches on the sidelines yelling and screaming at each other. I've been fired several times on the sideline, but still had a job on Monday morning. I mean, or Sunday morning, and I mean, I think people really realize, I mean, we get in there at, I can't tell you how many mornings I'd get in there before 7 and work out with the head coach. And then, we had a staff meeting at 8 and, we leave after midnight. And that was a pretty common occurrence.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, if punching a clock's important to you, you don't want to get into the game of college football. I mean, we spent a lot of hours in there together as a staff, and that's why it's so important that you enjoy the men you're around, because you're going to spend a lot of time with them. And I was very fortunate to be on a lot of staffs with good people that I enjoyed being around, because you're going to be with them all the time, year round. I mean, more than you are with your own family. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And so, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things said in the heat of the moment in a battle, in a game. And most of the times, you may go to the guy and say, hey, I want to apologize for what I said, in the first quarter. And he's like, what'd you say? I mean, it just goes right off their back or over their head. Nobody takes it personal. If you do, you're not going to survive in this game if you're taking everything that's said personally.
Oh yeah.
This thing I ever got for an apology. Well, two times. I brought Nick Saban a salad one day for lunch. This is at LSU. And he MF'd me up one side and down another because he told me he only ate one effing meal a day. And then another time, Zook told me.
Who told you to take him a salad?
Well, the ops guy told me to bring him some
lunch.
Yeah,
he was setting you up.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, one time Zook told me, he said, sometimes the people you love the most, you treat the worst. So that's after he just cussed me out. So I figured out.
Well, there's a lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that. That's why I tell you, hey, I'm yelling at you because I love you, man. So don't let it hurt your feelings.
That's right.
Yeah, and another thing, Coach, what he just said, I had a kid that we helped, find his way to Auburn, and he did Coach Com. He was up there between Coach Lally and Coach Looper on Coach Chiswick's staff.
Yeah.
And
I worked with Coach Looper, so I know Curtis very well.
Yeah, and I know Coach Lally pretty well. And there was the decorum prohibits me listing the vocabulary that young Thompson heard, but it's still out there, like in A Christmas Story. My old man could cut. It's still out there over Lake Michigan. But man, Gene Chiswick, what was he like coaching with him? I just remember when they were playing, Auburn played Virginia in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. They made a change with defensive coordinator, and Coach Chiswick took over the defense prepping for that bowl game. And Thompson calls me up. He goes, man, Mr. Browne, you were right. He goes, that's the smartest. He goes, and Gene Chiswick is intense. I mean, you know him. And I remember when y'all played Clemson for the ACC championship, a friend of mine ran into him at the CVS pharmacy in Auburn like a day or two later. But wow, those y'all two together, that must have been a lot of fun. I would love to see y'all two on network TV.
I had those 2 great years with Gene, to be honest with you. And I knew Gene very well before that. Never worked with him, but had always coached against him and had a lot of respect for everything that he did. And so our philosophies were very, very similar in the way in fact, when Gene was at Auburn, I guess the year that spring that they brought Cam in, and I came from Southern Miss and went down and watched practice. Wow. and spent some time with them then, just watching practice and kind of evaluating what they were doing. And so I knew I knew we were going to hit it off. That wasn't going to be a problem. The great thing for me in that 15 season was, I mean, for those 2 years, I didn't have to worry about anything defensively. I mean, it was like Gene was like, look, I'll take all of those things off your plate. You don't have to worry about it. If we have a discipline problem, I'll handle it. And he did. Whatever it was, I didn't ever worry about it, and so I could concentrate on offensively and special teams and never had to worry that Gene was going to do the right thing or he wasn't. I mean, I knew he was always going to do the right thing. And let me tell you, I mean, we would cut out of there at night, whatever time it was, 10:30, 11 o'clock with the offense, and we'd be heading out. And Gene and that defense were always still in there. I mean, I don't think there was a single time that we didn't leave before them. I mean, he's a grinder, he's a worker, and he is passionate about the game of football. And I was fortunate to get to work with him for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Tell me about, you worked with some great offensive line coaches and coached against some. Wickline, Trickett, Cap.
Yeah.
Who's the one you've ever coached against or with?
Oh, I mean, I'm not going to say that.
Come on now.
I am not going to say that. Man, those. I mean, because I can tell you, for me as an offensive coordinator, when I became an offensive coordinator, Joe Wickline was my offensive line coach. When Ron Zook hired me or offered me the job at University of Florida, I said the only way I can come is if I bring my offensive line coach. And he was like, "Who is he?" And I said, "It's Joe Wickline. He's a Gator." And he was like, "Okay, bring him." And then when I left and went to Oklahoma State with Mike Gundy, I said, "The only way I'm coming, Mike, is if I can bring my O-line coach." And he was like, "Okay." And
you went to Illinois first, though.
Well, yeah, that's in fact, and Joe went with me there too. We were there for a couple nights. Yes, we don't need to talk about that. But and then we went to Oklahoma State. And then when I got my head coaching job, believe me, I would have loved to take Joe with me, but I didn't make enough money, and Boone Pickens said no anyway. So, and that's when I got Coach Cap and Chris Kapilovic, and so then it was from there to North Carolina, and he was there with me the whole time. So I had in my tenure as an offensive coordinator and head coach, I had 2 offensive line coaches. And to me, that was by far the most important position you were going to have. And you're right, Trickett. I mean, the guy's he's phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, they're all. I mean, those offensive line coaches are a special breed. I mean, what they do, and they got to be. You want a hard nosed, tough guy that's going to ride them, and that's what those O-line coaches do.
Yeah, I mean, and Coach, just listening to you talk and seeing some of the comments, and there's a lot of people watching, and you're why we love college football. I mean, we're the same age. I grew up, golly, man, coaches, you're right. They chew your ass up and down, maybe pull a face mask, so what? That's because they gave a damn.
That's because they cared about you.
That's right.
They're trying to make you the best that you can possibly be. They weren't going to pat you on the back and tell you, "Hey, you're hug you." No, they were going to kick you in the ass and push you to beyond what you thought you could do. Yeah. And they were going to make you the best you could be.
Yeah. And I went to Christian Brothers High School in Memphis, buddy. Those LaSallian brothers made $1 a day, and they weren't there for the money. I can assure you of that. But, when you watch football and you see these coaches on the sidelines, and, you've coached in the ACC, you coached at Southern Miss, and growing up in Memphis, those Memphis Southern Miss rivalry was just awesome. Hell, when I was at Auburn, Sammy Winder and Reggie Cott, Southern Miss they were a nightmare because you had all these kids from Alabama that might have been overlooked. You can't get them all right. And damn it, 25, 30% of that roster was always Alabama kids.
Yep. And
y'all built, and Jeff Bowers, just a hell of a program down there. And I love, I'm an Auburn grad like Ronnie, but I love the passion of the game. And what I've noticed is, and I ask kids at media days this, there's a narrative that kids in your generation don't want to be coached hard. I said, I don't believe that. I said, I'm listening to you, Gunner Stockton, talk about the culture Kirby Smart has on y'all at Georgia. I think that you all are craving that. You're screaming for it. And all that other stuff is noise. And he looked at me and he said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, they want to be coached hard, and talk about that. And we need that message out there, because I would, if I was a player and my coach wasn't on my rear end, I would think he didn't care.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I don't think the kids have changed, to be honest with you.
I don't either.
I don't think kids have changed. I think what's changed is the parents. I think the parents have changed. I think society has changed. We're supposed to be easier on everybody, according to society. It's, that's most of them couldn't handle the way it really should be in college football, and not the normal person, but the athletes, they can handle it, but when you start lowering the expectation level, and you start coddling them, they're never going to raise their level. It's not going to happen. They got to be coached hard. They got to be loved hard, all of those things. Yeah. And I would say your great players, most of them, they want it. They want it. The ones that don't want it, those are the ones that don't last. They're not the ones that make it. Now in today's time, they just keep transferring, right? And that's their out. They can just transfer, and they can go wherever they want, and till they find a coach that does pat them on the back and give them a nice hug every day and tell them that they love them and how great they are.
Yeah. If I'm
because
an NFL,
that's what they've been getting since they were little bitty kids, right? Yeah. That's what they've been getting, and that's what some of them need.
Yeah. And I would, I agree.
My son plays soccer, and he thought his coach was his last year. He thought his coach was being too hard on him. So I took him to meet Trickett.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So he walked out of there with a little bit different feeling than he did when he came in, if you get my drift.
Yeah. And that's why I am, that's why people ask me, how are you handling retirement? I mean, it's like, you know what? I got out at the right time.
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about the transfer portal. I didn't have to worry about NIL. You could coach kids hard. They knew that you cared about them. They knew that you loved them, and you could coach them as hard as you needed to. And I think there's a lot of coaches that are having to battle that, because they're fighting for their jobs. And so they can't afford to run off good players. They got to retain them. And so sometimes they have to change the way they coach. And I'm fortunate that I didn't ever have to do that.
Yeah. And I think in talking to people that are affiliated with NFL teams, they've told us it is a serious red flag, the multiple transfers. I mean, let's put it on a very basic level. You're engaged to someone. You're a man engaged to a woman. That's how it works. It's the only way it happens. And, let's date other people while we're engaged. No, I mean, you can't be bouncing around. You've got to either commit or you're taking up space. And I think the NFL people, when I'm hearing a lot of people say this, serious red flag. And they also are looking at a matrix. They'd like to see, ideally, at least 30 starts from a college quarterback.
Sure.
So, we know, I watched Arch Manning. I saw it was crazy there in Atlanta at media days. But, I've been around. I don't know Arch. I've heard him speak at a lot of quarterback and touchdown club meetings. And we had David Cutcliffe on the show a couple of weeks ago. He's known Arch and his brother Hud. Of course, he coached his dad Cooper at Ole Miss the whole life.
He coached Peyton at Tennessee.
Exactly. And he said
he coached all of them. He coached Eli at Ole Miss. I mean, so he coached them all.
And I said, what advice, what have you said to him? He goes, I told him what I said. I told your uncle this, Eli, and your uncle Peyton. Just be a good teammate. It's just nice. And Coach Cutcliffe was there at media days every day. He's if you don't like David Cutcliffe and people don't like you, go back to bed and put your lip over your head and swallow. I mean, this is one of the best. Ronnie, this guy's awesome. Well, you come back on. This is fantastic because we need more honesty about what's going on in coach. I saw Buddy Martin. This guy knows ball. You really do. And I just think people are getting too caught up in all the distractions. We're 37 days out from kickoff, Auburn at Baylor.
Yeah.
What do you think Auburn's going to be facing with Dave Aranda in year 5 or year 6?
Well, Dave's doing a good job over there. I mean, and Dave has gotten, just like most of your coaches, Dave's gotten a lot more involved in the defense. He may be even calling it now. I'm not sure, and I mean, there was a guy, when he was a defensive coordinator, wherever he was in the country, he was always going to have great defense. I mean, you never had to question. And there was a guy that, as an offensive coordinator, as a head coach, I was always studying because he did such a great job as a defensive coordinator. So, I'm sure that he's going to have his players prepared, to defend Auburn. So Hugh will have a lot of work to do, against them. But and you got Hughes, who's a great offensive coach also. So I don't know where the sound's coming from.
Yeah, not sure where that sound is coming from. I don't know what, but here we go. And I look at Dave Aranda. He went to California Lutheran. I think that's where Tom Herman went too.
Yeah.
Teammates. I mean,
they were teammates, actually. Yes.
Wow. Where's California Lutheran? I mean, how big a school is it? Can't be big.
I don't think it's very big at all. I don't really know it, but I think it's a small private school, obviously. Yeah, okay. And so, but they were both on the, they were both there at the same time.
That's pretty amazing. Right?
I don't know that they were like friends or anything, but they were there.
Talk a little bit about since this is an Auburn show. You've only had 6 schools. Those big 6 have won every conference championship in the last 50 plus years. Auburn, Alabama, LSU, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee. I know Texas and Oklahoma are in the conference, but where does Auburn rank in there?
Oh gosh, that's tough where do they rank?
From a job standpoint, if you had all,
from a job standpoint, I mean, it's still one of the top jobs in the country. I mean, now, it's it's always had the reputation that you were going to go there and you were going to get fired in year 4 or 5. I mean, that's kind of the reputation it's always had, because they were going to, you were never going to win enough, and it's definitely a tough job, but it's a great job. I mean, it's one of the top jobs out there, and there's a lot of pressure to win, and you better win now or they're going to get rid of you. I mean, Hugh knows he's got to win this year. I'm sure he knows that. There's never been a coach that's had 3 losing seasons in a row and been back for the 4th at Auburn. If I think I'm right on that.
Well,
you are correct.
Before Harsin, I don't think. Let's see. Outside of the first year, and I know this since certainly in my lifetime. Outside of the first year, I don't think any Auburn coach has survived a losing season outside of that first year. Tell me if I'm wrong, Rob. But
well, if you go back to Coach Dye in '81, since Coach Dye, no Auburn coach who's completed 2 full seasons. Keep in mind, Browne Harsin did not complete the 2nd season, mercifully. So no Auburn coach has won fewer than 8 games in his 2nd year, except for Hugh Freeze. But I think it's fair to say, and one of our friends and colleagues, part of AU Undercover 24/7, Jason Caldwell, said it on our show. He inherited the worst roster in our lifetimes. It was not a good situation, but Coach, if you were the coach and you had Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight, Cam Coleman, do you run it? Do you throw it? Let's talk about your philosophy and what can work for Auburn this year, because they're always going to have a tough schedule. We were talking about it. For some reason, the sun is coming directly on me, and I'm about to pass out. It's life in the South, and the air conditioning's going. But what would you be doing if you were Hugh Freeze?
Well, I'm first of all, I have a philosophy, an offensive philosophy that I'm going to stick with because it's proven over time. Now, you're always going to adjust. Basically, you're going to adjust everything based off your quarterback.
Yeah.
If he runs it better than he throws it, you're probably going to run the ball a little bit more. If he throws it better than he runs it, you're probably going to throw it a little bit more. But for me, it was always going to be, we were going to take advantage of whatever they were doing defensively.
Okay.
Again, and that meant, you'd love to be balanced, but all balance meant was taking advantage of what they give you. I mean, if they're going to give you the throws, then you're going to take the throws. If they're going to give you the run, you're going to take the runs. I don't care how we beat you, just as long as we beat you. We had to score 1 more point than our opponent to beat you, and that's all we needed to do. I was never concerned with how many points we scored. It was, there were many times, I can tell you, in that 15 season that we would get a game in hand, and I didn't worry about stats offensively. We would pull completely back because Gene, we were ahead enough that Gene was going to be able to handle it defensively. Now let's get out of the game. let's get out of the game as fast as we can. There's no reason to give them more opportunities.
Yeah.
So listen, Hugh Freezes is a dang good football coach. He wouldn't be where he's at if he wasn't. He'll figure it out. I mean, he'll figure it out, and I don't know enough about Jackson Arnold or the players that he has, but he's going to adjust to what they do, and he's going to do everything he can to take advantage of everybody that he plays.
Yeah.
How do you see the conference shaking out this year?
I still see it as Texas and Georgia in that game, in the SEC championship game. I mean, unless something happens, I think they got two really good rosters. I mean, it's gonna. Now they both have question at quarterback. I mean, even though Arch Manning is, he's a Manning. There's still questions out there because he hadn't done it for a season. So this will be a big year. But the support system around him is pretty dang strong. The same thing there at Georgia. That's just what I see. But listen, I'm not a betting man. I don't bet on college footballs. Well, I shouldn't say that. I bet on them for 38 years, and that was my life. So
that's right.
I was bet on with my job and my family. So, but, I don't bet on college football or pro football. I mean, I've seen too many things that can happen.
Yeah. In your opinion, we've just got a few minutes left. Again, we talked about all the distractions, the portal and NIL. There's always something. I mean, go back over history. There's been speed bumps along the way. We always get through it. In the game itself, college football, what makes it so special is it's not pro football, and it's so personal. I mean, whether you're an Auburn fan, Southern Miss, Alabama, it doesn't matter. When someone criticizes your school, it's like saying, man, you got ugly kids. You're going to take that personally. That's just the way it is, isn't it? And that's what makes it. That's why it's going to be all right. I think we're on the other side of this nightmare.
Oh, it's going to survive. I mean, college football, I mean, in this country has been number 2, to pro football. All right. And it has been every year. So, I mean, it's unfortunately, we're just there's a lot of chaos going on right now. And I think the biggest culprit is the transfer portal for guys being able just to leave and go at multiple times during the years. It makes it almost impossible to manage a roster. I mean, it's extremely difficult for a head coach to do that. And so, the NIL part of it, there's no problem. I don't think anybody has a problem with players receiving financial aid. I mean, I don't think anybody's there. Everybody's beyond that now. Everybody's okay with that. It's the ability to up and leave multiple times during a year that makes it. It's not sustainable, to be honest with you. I don't think it's sustainable, but I do think that eventually the people, the powers to be, will get they'll get it right and they'll get it straightened out, and the game will continue to grow. Unfortunately, the game will never be what you and I grew up on. It's never going to be that again. It never will be, and I hate that, but change is inevitable. That's just the way it is, and fortunately for me, I don't have to deal with it. It's these coaches that are coaching now and the young coaches that are coming up that they're the ones that they're the ones that have to adjust.
Does college football need a commissioner?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I think I said that back in 2017. I think college football needs a commissioner. Again, the way the NFL is set up is probably the way college football ought to be set up. And one college commissioner that is negotiating a TV package for all of college football. And I think there would be more money for everybody involved, everybody. But the SEC and the Big Ten, they don't want to give up what they have right now. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to agree to that. So, who knows where it'll go.
Yeah. And that one person, I mean, the more people you get in a room, like in Dallas, when they start voting on the college football playoff, you just, I talked to Rich Clark, the commissioner of the CFP, every day at media days. And I asked him how many games he gets to go to. He said a few maybe early, but then they're in lockdown in Dallas in the secret location. And it's just, we got to get you back on. Ronnie, this is fantastic. I mean, you've just got Rolodex to the stars, as Chuck Oliver says about Heath Klein. But great having your insight. I'm with you.
Well, yeah,
I
he
ain't-
had. Now you mentioned Cut a while ago. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite people. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is. Even when he was at Duke and I was at North Carolina,
Yeah.
we were supposed to hate each other.
yeah.
But then we would go on the Nike trip, and he and my wife and his wife, Karen and him,
Yeah.
we would always hang out the whole time on the trip, and then we would fly back into Raleigh. We would split, and
Yeah.
we wouldn't say 2 words to each other after
Yeah.
that.
Well, I mean, how could you not like him or you? I mean, that's what I love and what I notice is the guys that have worked so hard, like you and Ronnie and other coaches that we talked to. That's why y'all are all so close. It doesn't matter where you coached. There's just that bond. Like, I know what you've been through. You were in Dr. Schwartz's English lit class. Yeah. I know. I've been there. I've survived that. But that's what makes coaching so great. Man, what a awesome having you on here today. Thank you so much.
Happy to be, and hey, I'll do it anytime. Ronnie, great seeing you, man.
You too. Let's touch base soon.
All right.
Hey, take care, Coach.
All right, Rob. Take care.
You bet. Ronnie, man, wow. What that is so insightful when you bring coaches on like Coach Fedora, and just you get the insight from being down on field level. But it's one thing, if every fan could, and it's impossible, but when you are down on field level, as Coach Spurrier always said, they give scholarships too. I mean, and it is just I look at Auburn, something's telling me in recruiting that the momentum, the pendulum is about to turn in a big way for Auburn. And I mean on a positive side. Your thoughts and comments, Coach. I'll hang up and listen.
Well, I think if Jason Caldwell wrote an article. I mean, if John Cohen, the AD, said, "Hey, look, we're going to be, all in." So, I think there was a report yesterday that collectives are going to survive. Ross Dillinger, I think, reported that. So,
Yeah,
if that's the case, then it's just you've got revenue sharing, and then you've got the collectives on top of that. So, if that's the case, then it's going to be the wild, wild west. So get ready.
Yeah. Well, Auburn's got a lot to sell. Mainly, Auburn people, the players, sell Auburn better than anybody. So that's.
Yeah, and I think now at this point in Hugh Freezes' tenure, I mean, it's hard to sell playing time at this point because you've got a roster full of young guys who can play. Now the positives of that are those young guys. A lot of those young guys have played, and so they're not really freshmen anymore.
I know.
And so it's going to be a really, really interesting year. And I'd like to thank Coach Fedora again for being on. That was great.
Thank you, Ronnie, for making that happen. Hey, for executive producer Brendan Martin driving to Universal Studios. Happy birthday, Stella. Ronnie Sanders, that was fantastic. Coach Larry Fedora. Stay tuned to this channel and AU Undercover. 97 million plus hits last year. We're going to break that record this year. You start winning games, it could be in the hundreds of millions. The universe. Carl Sagan would be proud. Thank y'all. See y'all next week. And I think that Brendan is mobile. So Brendan, we're checking out. Just we'll wave to everybody as we go off the air. But Ronnie, momentum's starting to swing, and it's something good's about to happen in Auburn. Just stay tuned. I feel it in my tarot cards.
Rob, we'll see you next week.
All right, thank you.